Admiral Zexathara's 6 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as she watched the final preparations unfold on the bridge of her flagship. The inevitable conquest hung in the void like a metallic predator, its hull bristling with weapons that had conquered 17 star systems. Today they would add Sol to that tally. "Status report on the Void Render?" she demanded, her chitinous voice clicking through the bridge's atmosphere. "Fully charged, Admiral," replied her weapons officer, tentacles dancing across holographic controls. "The superweapon is ready for deployment. Our calculations show it will tear a hole in space-time itself. Nothing can survive exposure to raw dimensional energy." Zexathara's mandibles spread in what passed for a smile among her species. The hegemony had spent 3 centuries perfecting the Void Render, a weapon that literally unraveled the fabric of reality in a localized area. Stars went dark. Planets ceased to exist. Fleets simply weren't anymore. "Excellent. Begin targeting the human homeworld." The massive weapon, nearly half the size of the flagship itself, began to glow with an otherworldly purple light. Energy. Readings spiked across the ship's sensors as reality itself began to strain under the weapon's influence. "Admiral," called the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." "Put it through. I want them to hear their doom approaching." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a human face. The creature looked remarkably calm for someone about to witness the annihilation of his species' birth world. He appeared to be middle-aged by human standards, with graying hair and laugh lines around his eyes. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force," the human said. "To whom am I speaking?" Zexathara leaned forward, savoring the moment. "I am Admiral Zexathara of the Hegemony. You are about to witness the power of our ultimate weapon. Surrender now, and we may consider allowing some of your colonies to survive." The human, Chen, tilted her head slightly. "Ultimate weapon? You mean that big purple thing? We've been tracking its energy signature for the past 20 minutes. Then you understand the futility of resistance," Zexathara hissed. "Actually," Chen said, glancing at something off-screen, "we were wondering if you'd mind aiming it at the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter instead. We've been meaning to clear that out for mining operations, but it's such a hassle with conventional methods." Zexathara's eyes widened. "You... what?" "The asteroid belt," Chen repeated patiently. "Could you target that instead? It would save us years of work. Oh, and if you could make the dimensional tiers about, let's see, roughly 2 kilometers in diameter. Any bigger and you might destabilize some of the mining stations we want to keep." The bridge fell silent except for the humming of the Void Render reaching critical charge. Zexathara's tactical officer whispered urgently, "Admiral, perhaps they don't understand the weapon's true nature." "Foolish human," Zexathara roared. "This weapon tears holes in space-time itself. It unmakes matter at the quantum level. It is the ultimate expression of destructive force in the known galaxy." Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Right, that's what we figured from the energy readings. Jimmy, that's our head of mining operations. He was really excited when we detected the dimensional distortion signatures. We've been trying to develop that kind of technology for years. He wants to know if you'd be willing to license the design after you're done with the demonstration." "This is not a demonstration," Zexathara shrieked. "This is your annihilation." "Oh," Chen said, sounding mildly disappointed. "Well, that's less helpful, but hey, could you still aim for the asteroid belt? I mean, if you're just going to randomly tear holes in space, might as well make them useful, right?" On the tactical display, Zexathara watched in growing horror as the human fleet began to rearrange itself. Instead of fleeing or forming defensive formations, the ships were spreading out into what looked suspiciously like an observation pattern. "Admiral," her sensor officer reported, voice trembling, "the human vessels are deploying scientific instruments. They appear to be studying our weapon." "Dr. Reeves sends his compliments," Chen continued conversationally. "He's our chief physicist. He's particularly interested in how you're stabilizing the dimensional matrix. Our calculations suggested that kind of energy output should create a cascade failure, but you seem to have solved that problem." Brilliant work, really. The void render reached full charge. The space around it began to visibly distort. Reality, bending like heated glass. "Fire the weapon," Zexathara commanded. The beam lanced out, a column of pure unreality that made the mind hurt to perceive directly. Where it touched the asteroid belt, space simply opened. Chunks of rock and ice didn't explode or vaporize. They just stopped being, leaving perfectly spherical voids in the cosmic debris field. "Magnificent," came Chen's voice over the comm. "The precision is incredible. You're actually maintaining coherent dimensional boundaries while selectively targeting matter. How are you preventing quantum foam infiltration at the breach points?" Zexathara stared at the human face on her screen. The creature was taking notes. "Excellent work," Chen continued. "We're reading about 60% clearance in Sector 7. Could you sweep left about 15 degrees and hit Sector 8? There's a particularly dense cluster there that we've been wanting to remove for decades. Are you giving us mining coordinates?" Zexathara's voice came out as barely a whisper. "Well, yes, I mean, you're already tearing holes in space. Might as well make them productive holes, right? Oh, and Lieutenant Morrison wants to know if you can adjust the beam frequency. He thinks you might be able to selectively target different mineral compositions with some fine-tuning." The bridge of the inevitable conquest had fallen into stunned silence. The weapon that had brought civilizations to their knees was being critiqued like a mining tool. "This is impossible," Zexathara muttered. "You should be begging for mercy, fleeing in terror. Your species should be paralyzed by the cosmic horror we've unleashed." Chen shrugged. "Why? It's just weaponized dimensional mechanics. Dangerous, sure, but so is a plasma torch if you don't handle it properly. Speaking of which, our safety officer wanted me to mention that you might want to install better shielding around your dimensional generators. We're reading some concerning quantum leakage that could affect your crew's DNA over extended exposure." "Safety recommendations?" "Standard stuff. Quantum shielding, temporal stabilizers, maybe some basic reality anchors. We've got some excellent designs if you're interested. Open source too. We believe in sharing safety technology." Admiral Zexathara looked around her bridge at her crew, all of whom were staring at her with expressions of profound confusion. The ultimate weapon of the hegemony had just been casually reviewed like a piece of industrial equipment by the very species they'd come to conquer. "Admiral Chen," she said slowly, "what exactly are humans?" Chen's smile was visible even through the transmission. "We're the species that looked at the fundamental forces of the universe and asked, but what if we use them to build better tools?" As the inevitable conquest retreated from the Sol system, its crew thoroughly demoralized, Admiral Chen turned to her first officer. "Think they'll take us up on the licensing offer?" she asked. "Probably not," he replied. "But Jimmy's going to love the new mining zones they just opened up for us." In the distance, the asteroid belt sparkled with the light of perfectly spherical voids, humanity's newest construction project, courtesy of the galaxy's most feared superweapon.